Hey everyone, welcome to Inside Gaming for Friday.
It's Friday! We made it through the entire week yet again. That means it's time for a good old yeah! Woo!
Yes! Yes!
You've probably heard already that Sony announced some new details about the next PlayStation. It'll be called the PlayStation 5. It's coming out the next holiday season.
Wow, shocker. Yeah, we haven't really had time to cover it because Blizzard has been busy imploding. Kind of put a dent in the news cycle. Also, we kind of already assumed both those things to be true.
Yeah.
PlayStation 5, that's not really a big shocker.
But there's some interesting stuff to dig into here because behind the scenes, Sony is laying people off and it looks like there's a power struggle there too.
Ooh, corporate maneuvering. Why hasn't anyone ever made a video game about that?
Enron the game.
Damn, that would be cool! Before we speculate about our cool game designs, let's talk about the PS5 news, in case you haven't been paying attention or you've just been consumed by all the Blizzard and China drama, which is particularly spicy.
So in addition to the name of the new console, a real shocker,
Yeah.
PS5.
Put a 5 on it.
Yeah.
Ah!
And a release window, holiday 2020. Sony also gave us some more details about the PS5's new controller.
New controller! It'll have haptic feedback! Whoa! It's a kind of a different rumble tech. What do they have, Brian?
It's gonna apparently provide a wider variety of responses, and to hear Sony tell it crashing into a wall in a race car feels much different than making a tackle on the football field. So a lot more variance here.
New rumbles, you say? But how?
How could they do that? Yes, it's impossible to believe, but those wizards at Sony have found a new way to make controllers shake.
That's the Citizen Kane of games. It's just like, oh!
It's gonna feel 5 different ways when I put it up to my balls at night.
As someone who's taken apart multiple controllers, usually to replace the shell with something, I don't know, transparent or chrome. Typical force feedback is a teeny little motor that spins an off-center weight around. Just usually the only control you get is how fast you make the rotor spin. So there's various accelerations. But the DualShock 5, which, you know, that's not its official name yet, but come on. It'll actually use a different kind of rumble motor, a voice coil actuator! So it uses a magnetic field to either move a weight inside of a tube or the tube around the weight.
Like a
or,
shake weight?
Or both.
Like a shake weight, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought a railgun, but a shake weight's cool too.
Yeah, they're also talking up the new controller's adaptive triggers, which means devs can program the resistance of the triggers.
Man, we're gonna beefy forearms
Yeah,
before too long.
really strong fingers.
So yeah, that means that you can, quote, feel the tactile sensation of drawing a bow and arrow or accelerating an off-road vehicle through rocky terrain.
Or feeling your fetus pouch kick in Death Stranding.
I guess, yeah, it's gonna be, you got, oh! Okay, and there's one final controller bit, right, Brian? And this is the good one.
Yes, it will use a USB-C port, praise God. Even if the damn battery shits out at 6 hours, at least it'll be easier to charge.
So there are a few other details in the Wired article, none of which are super exciting, but we might as well run them down for completeness' sake.
So the PS5 will still have a Blu-ray drive, though games will come on 100 gig optical discs.
So many.
So it'll use a solid state drive for storage too, which they say will make game installs more space efficient since games won't need to duplicate data just to make sure it's physically close to other game assets on a hard drive.
Yeah, that gets a little in the weeds, but it checks out. You'll also be able to install games in modules too, separating single player from multiplayer just to get you playing faster and to conserve storage space.
That's pretty cool.
Some games have experimented with that to limited success, but with the solid state, I think it'll probably be a lot more easy to do.
And I mean, if you beat the campaign and just want to play the online, that could be potentially a huge space saver.
Yeah, save that space, baby.
Finally, the PlayStation UI will get a revamp as well. PlayStation 5 system architect Mark Cerny suggested that the UI would list active servers for multiplayer games that you could join right from the system dashboard, while single-player games might list individual levels or missions alongside the rewards offered for completing them.
Joining multiplayer servers direct sounds cool. No problem with that. Giving developers more chances to dry hump your eyeballs to keep playing their games does not sound very cool.
Speak for yourself.
It's possible the implementation will be tasteful, but can't really help imagining tons of desperate games promising you a new digital t-shirt or a stack of dumbass gems just for doing the daily challenge. I don't know, it reminds me of mobile games, you know? You install one, it's like, hey, your energy's back. Oh, we got a new event going on. Who's out there saying, boy, I just love it when my phone explodes in notifications for games that I don't want to play right now because I'm trying to look at porn and the work toilet because I'm taking a shit. Hopefully they also give you control over what gets pushed to your dashboard and what it looks like and all that kind of stuff. But regarding looks, we got some tidbits about that, Brian, but not too many.
Sony didn't get into what the console would actually look like despite some supposedly leaked designs floating around. The Wired article did specifically mention that the dev kit did look awfully close to that weird toilet seat that we've seen leak around, but it's worth noting that retail consoles rarely look like their dev kit counterparts.
Yeah, I would expect at this point that Sony still doesn't know what a retail PS5 is going to look like. I'm sure they're still revising it. They got plenty of time. So of course we can expect a lot more info about the PS5 in the year ahead. I'm sure they're going to trickle out updates in a good PR cycle. But in a blog post, Sony Interactive Entertainment President and CEO Jim Ryan assured us they've got lots of games still coming on the PS4, like Death Stranding, The Last of Us Part 2, and Ghost of Tsushima.
Translation, please keep buying our stuff. So all good news, right?
Yeah!
Oh, not so fast. On that same day that it was announcing the PS5, Sony let go dozens of employees in their European branch, which is known as Sony Interactive Entertainment Europe.
Yeah, this is a pretty smooth corporate move. You
Yeah.
throw down a smoke bomb in the room about how PS5 controllers shake real good, and then when the smoke clears, there's just bodies all over the floor.
Like, what happened?
Whoa, I haven't got the controller though. Whoa.
Don't pay attention to them. So yeah, directors from the American branch of Sony traveled to London to give them the bad news. Several divisions were restructured and employees were laid off in marketing, PR, and other sectors.
That wasn't all though, was it, Brian?
No, the layoffs also affected the creative services team here in the good old US of A. So it's sounded like a pretty big bloodletting. Those layoffs came after the North American branch of PlayStation, Sony Interactive Entertainment America. It's become more and more influential, and they're kind of moving to a more centralized structure. So yeah, this is all part of that, and it's been going on for a while now.
Consolidating their power. Previously, the different regions had a lot more freedom to act on their own. That included promoting different games in different parts of the world.
Yeah, so in Europe, there was a bigger marketing push for PlayStation Move, which was its motion controller response to the Wii. It was a huge success. Meanwhile, games like Drive Club were promoted heavier in Europe as opposed to the US.
Yeah, they like cars there. Sony Interactive Entertainment Europe has also been a big part of PlayStation historically. It was responsible for big name brands like Wipeout, Little Big Planet, Killzone, as well as a lot of games on PlayStation VR.
But nowadays, the American side of things is calling more and more of the shots, and over the last 12 months, there have been lots of layoffs in the European branch.
Yeah, I never thought about that. It is sort of the American, California developed exclusives that have been knocking PlayStation around and not necessarily the European greats. What does this look like going forward, Brian?
We just need a Photoshop of Spider-Man beating the shit out of Sackboy from Little Big Planet. I think that sums it all up.
Maybe it's just Spider-Man like breaking the rear view mirrors on the Wipeout. Just in the boat.
Just kicking off all the mirrors on the Drive Club car.
Him holding like a 4-ounce Coke with no ice going, this sucks. But yeah, as a result of all this, SIE employees think they will have less influence going forward and that the Americans once again are just throwing their weight around and taking over.
Nice.
What happens when you
Hell
get a
yeah.
64-ounce Coke?
USA!
Get it in my stomach! Dip my raw steak into just pure corn syrup. Wrap it around a stick.
USA!
All right.
Or at least I know I'm free.
Can't get my arm over my heart anymore. There we go.
We're gonna find a way to just live in a perpetual state of cardiac arrest.
It's a race, the plaque buildup in my heart versus climate change. And I'm rooting for the plaque, honestly.
So that's just one piece in all of this. There's some maneuvering going on at the highest levels of Sony as well. So doth we smell a conspiracy?
So yeah, you might remember that Worldwide Studios chairman Sean Layden also left Sony recently after 30 years at the company.
The circumstances there were pretty suspicious because he didn't really say anything. It was just like, oh, he's gone. What, can we talk to him? No.
There are reports out there that there was actually a power struggle behind the scenes between Layden and Jim Ryan, with clearly Jim Ryan coming out on top because he's still with Sony.
Game Daily reports that Layden and Ryan had different views on crossplay, with Ryan backing Sony's stance of not supporting the feature. Meanwhile, Layden seemed more open to it, so I guess Layden got that slipped under the door right before he got tossed out on his ass.
Yeah. So last year, Layden spoke at the Game Lab conference in Barcelona, where he said, "I'm confident we'll get to a solution which will be understood and accepted by our gaming community, while at the same time supporting our business."
In retrospect, that sounds like a very diplomatic way of saying, there's some other that are putting up some walls, and I'm trying my best.
Yeah.
But I can't call them out right now. Shockingly, shortly after that, Sony started its crossplay beta, and now they said it'll be open for all developers to use. That may also be why, because we were kind of confused that they didn't really trumpet the feature. Maybe that's because Jim Ryan's like, no, Layden's out, so who gives a f? This is about PlayStation Now.
So there's also another interesting difference between the two, and that is that Ryan is really into cloud gaming.
So yeah, this summer he gave an interview to the Financial Times and said they are really going to start to push its cloud service PlayStation Now. Yeah. PlayStation Now!
Right now. Yeah, he said that while the service has been around for 5 years, which I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Sony needed to work harder on both the content proposition and the value proposition.
They do, because nobody really cares about it right now.
And it was pretty expensive.
Yeah, so that's corporate speak for we need to make it cheaper and add more games. Which, hey, wouldn't you know it? Makes sense. Microsoft has been focusing a lot more on Game Pass, and Google Stadia is set to kick off next month. And for the numbers we looked at, Game Pass is slaughtering PlayStation Now.
For his part, Layden told CNET earlier this year that PlayStation wanted to keep current with cloud technology, but he also said, "I think there's much life left in a local console."
Ooh,
yeah.
Gloves have been dropped. There's some obvious questions that emerged. Does that mean that Layden was against cloud gaming? I mean, maybe not. Obviously, Sony's gonna want to keep pushing PlayStation 4s and PlayStation 5s. But the writing's kind of on the wall here. Maybe he just wasn't as into cloud gaming right now as Jim Ryan is. At any rate, Layden is gone, and cloud-loving Jim Ryan is now running a big part of the show.
Yeah, Sony has also had a couple of other big departures that are worth noting. Sony Interactive Entertainment Japan Asia's president, Atsushi Morita, announced his departure recently too, but Sony said that was due to age.
He's old. Look at how shriveled and garbage this man is. So yeah, he's 60. It's very common for Japanese companies to have a mandatory retirement when a person hits that age. Meanwhile, in America, well, if cardiac arrest doesn't get us, we'll be working until we're 85. There are other retirements though, right, Brian?
Yeah, of course. It was announced recently also that Sony chairman Kaz Hirai also said he's retiring after, well, he also stepped down as CEO about a year ago, so he transitioned from that into chairman, but now he's stepping down for good. But Hirai had been with the company 35 years, definitely seemed more of a natural retirement than Sean Layden's.
Yeah, because he got to make a statement and there was a reason. Meanwhile, Layden was just like, oh, he doesn't work here anymore. So we don't know what's going on at this point. We're not meant to either, and we probably never will. Obviously, it's an incomplete picture, but you know, going forward, there are going to be different people on top for Sony. Going into a new generation, got a new leadership, a fresh new look. Sony for 2020. We need new icons for PlayStation 5. I guess we got new Kratos, we got lesbian, we got
Knack.
Knack 3. Everyone was so mad at us for not identifying Liberty Prime
Oh
in
my
the PlayStation
God.
commercial.
Dude.
Like, that's an iconic character? Dude, f off. It was in like 4 minutes of Fallout. Liberty Prime! How did you not know? He stopped and he threw a bomb out of his stomach.
They were mad at me as if
Legendary character. Bullshit.
Yeah.
Christ.
Lawrence apologized
man.
to the audience.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Why didn't GTA 5 get any single player DLC? When are they remaking San Andreas? Where's my burrito?
That's a lot of questions. No, actually, we're talking about Bully 2, and when is that coming out?
Oh yeah, that's way more important than my burrito.
Well, now we have an answer, and it turns out that Rockstar did work on a sequel to Bully for about a year and a half.
Oh, that stings. Ow. So yeah, Video Games Chronicle, which is a really respectable name for a website, or